Good evening. Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heart of Christ Ministry. I'm your host, Shaun Robert Grant, Reverend Shaun Robert Grant. So I was just checking out some football here. And, the last few days, maybe a little bit longer, have been more so about mental toughness and how important mental toughness is. And at first, when it came in, I'm like, okay, do I need to build more mental toughness? And then my inner guidance has kind of showed me that my life has been about mental toughness. So I dove more into that and I began to see how could I teach this? How could I empower other people to understand the importance of mental toughness? And now, even as it relates to the little kids that I come into contact with, or even just a younger generation, mental toughness is an asset that everybody needs, especially during 2020. And so we're going to get to that here in just a bit. But first things first, if you guys have any questions, any prayer requests, any correspondence, anything you need help with, feel free to write to us at ShaunG04@gmail.com. And I will get to that as soon as I can. Write you back. More than happy to do it. But the email's right there, so use it. And then also, if you find that this message benefits you or you've benefited from Heart of Christ Ministry or Shaun Robert Grant in the past, feel free to sow a seed. Up to you. I'm going to leave that up to you if you decide to. VENMO, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. Okay, so let's just hop right into today's message. Oh, one more thing. In the event, StreamYard has had some issues. So in the event I freeze, the picture freezes, don't be discouraged. Don't click off too soon. Just know right away the volume will still be there. What I'm saying will still be there. So continue to listen and the picture will come back. And even if the picture doesn't come back, you can still hear and process what I'm saying. Okay. So just kind of let you know that off the bat. Hadn't had any issues the last couple of times, but I wanted to throw that out to you first and foremost, because why I miss out on a great message, because all of a sudden the picture freezes and you think you won't get anything, but then you miss the entire gold mine that's being planted right in front of you, right? All right. So let's get into it. Won't be a long message, but this is very, very important, I feel, and I want to be able to share this with you because I know that it's transformed my life. It'll transform anyone's life who has possession over it, right? And that's what counts, is giving possession, giving those nuggets, giving those gems of wisdom that is going to allow people to live their best. So today's message it's a special because it's Saturday night, mental toughness, an asset for the ages, okay? And so I just want to say that when I look at the course of my life, when I look at what route my life has taken, there's a great understanding that is able to know a lot of the stuff, especially the successful stuff that happened, would not have happened if I didn't hit rock bottom, dwell on rock bottom for a bit, and was able to climb my way out. It just never would have happened. And if you would have asked me this 30 years ago, I would have wanted a life without struggle. I would have wanted a life without hardship. But then I think of it now, and I am so enormously happy that I have a life a life with hardship, a life with struggle, a life with, problems and issues, because you don't become greater until you have those, and then you grow spiritually to the point to figure those out, right? So I that's just something that is so very important to me. And I say that because I don't want you to dismiss the issues that you're having right now, because issues and problems are available only to help us to grow, help us to rise higher, help us to be empowered, and then eventually to help others. That's why they're there, right? And so when you take a deeper look into them, and you really take a moment to say, okay, this is here to help me. It may seem like an adversary, but it's here to help me, because it's a mental equivalent of something we're holding within our consciousness. And once we get that, we can go straight to the source to figure it out. Okay, so I'm gonna get into it and we'll start. I got three different things, three different aspects of mental toughness that I'm gonna explain to you, and I feel like it's gonna set you up to really succeed if you aren't there yet. But more importantly, just to feel strong, right? To feel as strong as you possibly can. So let's get to number one. So I've kind of put this into quotes because these are a bit like mantras, affirmations, and there's a lot of meaning behind these, and these are some that I use, right? And so number one just starts off, I can face anything at any time and anywhere. Okay, now initially this is not something that someone who has no mental toughness is going to believe right away, right? So what do? Well, what I usually do is I'll say, think about the worst time in your life. Think about the hardest time in your life. Think about a time in your life where it seemed like you were never going to make it out and you were just stuck, right? But then somehow or another, you figured it out, right? Think about some of the most dire situations where it just didn't seem like there would be a solution present and you made it out. That, ladies and gentlemen, is mental toughness. Right? That is mental toughness. When you decide that you're not going to give up. And you know what? At a time where I wanted to give up the most, when I wanted to just basically kill myself and commit suicide, it was at that moment that I realized I could face anything. And not only that, eventually that I was the one creating all the problems. Right? My lack of emotional intelligence, my lack of mental maturity was the thing that was creating all these issues for me. So when I realized, okay, let me get my mind right, let me clear some of these emotions that I'm carrying around since childhood, I realized that I can face anything at any time and anywhere, right? And so when you say this with energy. It even helps sometimes to beat your chest, right? Or to do some kind of physical incantation to drive the energy home. I can face anything at any time, anywhere. I can face anything at any time and anywhere. And you begin to really feel that. And guess what happens? You're moving your body. You're moving your mind into action to know that there is nothing that can stop you from being your best, right? This is perfect because I can remember this year, because like I said in the description, if there was ever a time where we needed to be mentally tough, 2020 is definitely about mental toughness. Why? Because so many people have died from mental illness, and not being mentally tough to be in a space to where they can begin to move through these issues, right? Your mental health, right? I wrote an article on this on medium.com. You can check it out. Mental health is the most important thing for any of us, especially during times of adversity. Why? Because if you're mentally weak, or you're mentally disabled, or you're mentally unfit, right? And that's a great way to put it, because we got to do mental workouts and stuff like that. You're going to suffer, but it doesn't have to be that way if you take control of it right away. You get a hold of it, right? I had reached a point in my life where I was just done. I was done being woe is me. I was done being this person who just didn't have the opportunity, or didn't give myself the opportunity to rise up from adversity and say, you know what, I can be better because of this. And I got sick of it. And I knew something had to change. So you know what I did? I started studying Michael Jordan. I started studying like Navy SEALs. I started thinking about the military, how, when you're in the military and you go through basic training, or you go through SEAL training, stuff like that, they will break you down mentally to build you up in the strongest possible capacity. And how do you do that? You go through some of the most rigorous physical stuff that allows you to push through, right? So a perfect example, I'll move on to number two after this. I was shooting this film Journey, about a month ago, and I had no idea what I was in store for. And I work out regularly, so it's not like I'm such a slouch or anything, but if I knew what was coming with this, I would have been training like I was playing football again, but it caught me by surprise. And so when things catch you by surprise, that's the biggest test of mental toughness. So case in point, long story short, we're in Nevada, the state line between Nevada and California. And this is the first scene of the movies. We're all geared up in this kind of Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type medieval gear with this sword that just weighs like, an extra 15 pounds. And we're at 6,500 feet elevation. And not only that, we've got to sprint up the mountain. We got to sprint down the mountain. We got to sprint up the mountain, down the mountain. When I tell you, if you have not trained your body to experience that type of altitude and that type of movement within that type of altitude, you'd want to quit. You want to quit and walk away and never come back. But you know what? The entire time, you know what I was telling myself? I can face anything at any time, anywhere. I can face anything at any time, anywhere. And if you have a religious background like me, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I said that over and over, and somehow or another, it just gave my body strength. My mind was dialed in, so my body became dialed in, even though I was just extraordinarily tired. And it helped me through it. And I tell you, I wanted to die while I was doing this. I'll just be honest, I wanted to die because it was that kind of pain. It was that kind of just discomfort, having to run up that hill as fast as I could and run down that hill as fast as I could with the gear I had on and not being prepared. And that was one of the biggest lessons for me. Anytime I need to be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. No matter what I go into, I always have to be prepared, because if I'm not prepared, I beat my own self up. And that was on me. I took full responsibility for it. I needed to be better prepared for it. So that week, I came back home and I started running. I started lifting. I started putting myself into a better physical position to experience being in better shape whenever we did it the next week. And then the next week I was fine. But plain and simple, throughout that challenging time when you want to quit, because it's easy to quit. And I quit a whole lot when I was a younger kid. You got to remember, I can face anything at any time, anywhere. All right. That's number one. Number two, and this is amazing. So you can play with the words here, but it basically says the same thing. Greater is the power in me than anywhere in the universe. If you're a spiritual person or a religious person, you might say greater is the power of God in me than anywhere in the universe. It's the same thing. And that's the truth, right? You never need to be afraid of anything when you know what type of power you have within. And you got to remind yourself of that. So it's interesting. We talked about football here a little while ago. And you ever see the guys in the tunnel before a game, where you see them huddled up during warm-ups and they're really just amping themselves up, where mentally they're psyching themselves up to perform, right? And I've done this a few times, not just in football, but, in movies, in like runway shows and stuff like that. You're in the back, you're psyching yourself up because mentally you've got to be tough to dive in. And then I remember this verse, and the first one as well, but this one too: greater is the power in me than anywhere else in the universe, right? So when I know that, I can walk confidently out to any battlefield and think nothing of it, and just know that I'm doing what I need to do to be my best, and nothing is going to stop me. As a matter of fact, it makes me feel unstoppable. It makes me know that I'm unstoppable. You know what's amazing? It's one thing to feel unstoppable, right? But to feel and to know and to act unstoppable is a whole nother ball game. And that's what mental toughness is allowing that to guide everything, and everything is in a line, and you just can't be stopped, right? And you're just ready for it. You're ready for it. No matter what happens, you're ready for it. But you got to remember this. There's a power in you. That power that's beating your heart right now is greater than anything in the universe. And it's not greater in the sense of inferiority or superiority. It just means that power can face anything you come across, no matter what it is. The worst possible experiences, when you tap into your resolve, your divine resolve within you, you are going to rise higher without a shadow of a doubt. Okay. Remember that one. That's one of my favorites. Okay. Number 3, everything unfolds in perfect divine order. Everything. Okay. So I don't even really need to spend too much time on this one, because all this says And it's absolutely easy. All it says is that everything that happens is happening in perfect divine order, right? Everything that's happening is happening in perfect divine order. The election is happening in perfect divine order. The coronavirus, COVID-19, yada, 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 is happening in perfect divine order. People losing their jobs, not being able to work, being locked up is happening in perfect divine order. Me sitting right here in front of you as a reflection of yourself is happening in perfect divine order. The TV on with the football game with USC and Arizona being tied 2020 is happening in perfect divine order. Why? Because everything happens in perfect divine order. And you know that if everything happens in perfect divine order, guess what? It's there to help you. Right? It's there to help you. There is nothing about perfect divine order that is coming to ruin your life, that is coming to wreck you, that is coming to make you feel less than the amazing being that you are. There is nothing about divine order that does that. Divine order's job is to govern your life and move you to perfect divine love, to make sure you're in alignment with perfect divine love. And it does that, as old Martin Luther King used to say, that's Malcolm, by any means necessary, right? Any means necessary. It moves you into divine love because it knows if you're in divine love, you're going to be more powerful than you could have ever imagined in anything that you do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is mental toughness. Understanding that the universe has your back and you don't even need to do a damn thing. You just sit there, watch things unfold, allow it. Dive in like, okay, what is this teaching me? What am I getting from this, right? You got to be very proactive with asking questions about why certain things are happening in your life and not just fall back to play a victim. If I could teach children anything right now, would tell them be mentally tough. Right? Somebody takes something from you, be mentally tough. That doesn't mean you got to go bully people or beat somebody up, but you got to be able to mentally be strong to bounce back from it. And a lot of the problems into adulthood come because the mental resolve is not there to help kids to know that they can have the faith within themselves to rise up from stuff, right? That's why I love playing ball so much, is because it showed me how to have resolve, how to have strength, how to be able to rise up and say, you know what, I missed it that time, but I'm going to come back even stronger the next, right? It teaches so many different values, but you don't need football. You don't need basketball. You don't need sports to teach your kids that. You can teach your kids that. You can show your kids how to be mentally tough and to tell them no matter what happens, we will find a way. It will work itself out no matter what. And I promise you tell your kids that, your kids will change the world. They will have so much confidence. And most people think the best thing I can do for my child is support them. No, the greatest thing you can do to your child is give your child confidence, give your child the ability to know how to have self-respect, self-worth, because that will take them a longer way than anything your job can do or anything for that matter, right? You want to give these kids confidence. And as adults, shit, if you ain't got the confidence, you want to find it. Find it in yourself. Fake it till you make it. Like really, really allow yourself to step into the truth of dynamic self-worth, unstoppability, and confidence. And you do that by continually thinking about all the successes you had. Think about, like we talked about in the beginning, all the drama that you've had to ensue that you rose up against. Like when I think of my life and I think about what I've overcome, from suicide to Hurricane Katrina to moving to California, not having any place to stay. Like there's been so much adversity and so much mental toughness needed to rise up and meet the challenge and allow the divine to help me. It's staggering. And now I know that this is one of the gifts that I have to give back to other people, because I'm telling you, and I just want to be real with you right now, in the event Joe Biden gets in to presidency and everything is certified and all this other stuff, in the event, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in the event that unfolds, right, this man is putting us on lockdown. right? This man is putting us on lockdown. And I want you to know something. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but I want you to be ready. Because that's what I said. You got to be ready. We're going into lockdown 4 to 6 weeks. There likely will not be a stimulus because Lord knows there hadn't been a stimulus yet. They're not trying to help the American people under those circumstances, because honestly, you would have figured it out. That's my take on it. You would have figured it out a long time ago if you were trying to help us, right? But we're going into lockdown. There's not going to be a stimulus. There's a lot of things within that situation to get upset about, to be down. But you know what? You go the opposite route. You say, fuck this, I'm going to rise above it. No matter who tries to keep me down, I'm going to rise above it. And not only am I going to rise above it, I'm going to thrive above it because I'm counting on me. I'm not counting on the government. I'm not counting on any politician. I'm not counting on anybody else to give me what I can give to myself. And that is mental toughness, no matter what it is. You know what? So if you're on lockdown, you start making a list of all the things you can do to make you happy on those days, right? If that means going like ordering puzzles from Amazon, you get you some puzzles. If you want to write a book, I wrote 2, write a book, right? If you want to play board games, you want to, whatever it is, focus on your health and your happiness. You can't go to the gym, work out around the house, go outside on the steps and do push-ups. You have to do what's right for you. And that mental toughness, I promise you, will take you as long as you need to go. They'll be pulling everybody out of lockdown and you'll come out of there thriving, on point, like feeling stronger because you went to the bottom of the pit and you rose up out of it. Basically just doing what you knew how to do from a mental standpoint. And I'm telling you, if this was available, if I would have knew like what this thing was going to be, I would have been teaching this stuff at the beginning of the year, even before we went into it. But there's no better time than now. You got to be strong. You got to be mentally tough. And when you're mentally tough, your entire body follows, and you never give up on yourself. You never give up on yourself. You never give up on life. No matter how bad it gets, you just keep not fighting, but keep moving forward until you find out why stuff is happening the way that it is. And once you do, you can fix it. You can solve it. You can move forward. You can grow. You can expand. You have this within yourself. And no one, not even the media, not even the powers that be or whatever, they can't take it away from you. They can't take it away from you when you have it in here and you have it in here. It's yours. The power is there. Rewatch this video if you need to. Send me an email. As a matter of fact, let's do that right now. If you have any questions, how can I be more mentally tough in my life? Send me an email. Write to us. We'll pray for you. If you want to pray for mental toughness, we'll pray for you. If you want to put yourself into a place to where you can be unstoppable, just have so much mental toughness that it's overflowing within you, write to us. ShaunG04@gmail.com, and we will gladly help you in every sense of the word. All right. So with that being said, we're finishing up for the day. So guys, once again, if you have any questions, write to us, prayer requests, correspondence, whatever it may be, ShaunG04@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this message, if this message has helped you to be in a better space of understanding mental toughness, or if you feel like you've benefited from me in the past in whatever way it is, I encourage you, sow a seed today. It is greatly appreciated. Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our message for today. Be mentally tough, man. It's an asset for the ages. Understand that it's all on you, and you have it within. You have it within. You have it within. All right. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful Saturday. Talk soon. Bye-bye.